If you're serious about military history and human endurance, subscribe to this channel right now, because what you're about to hear isn't recycled trivia or surface-level storytelling. This is the lived reality of men who survived captivity in World War II, and every lesson here still matters today. POW memoirs, medical reports, and post-war interrogations reveal a harsh truth. Survival in prison camps was rarely about strength alone. It was about adaptation, discipline, and ruthless awareness. Stay with me, because this first minute sets the foundation for everything that follows, and if you miss it, you miss the logic behind survival itself. What most people never grasp is that captivity in World War II was not one single experience. A British airman held by the Imperial Japanese Army faced a different reality than a Soviet soldier in German hands, or an American captured in North Africa. Yet across continents, climates, and ideologies, POWs independently learned the same brutal lessons. These 8 realities surfaced again and again, written into diaries, whispered in survivor interviews, and confirmed by mortality statistics. Reality 1 is that starvation was used as a weapon, not a side effect. Food deprivation in camps like Changi Prison or German stalags was deliberate. Rations were calculated to weaken prisoners without killing them too quickly. POWs who survived longest learned to manage calories like accountants. They ate slowly, split portions, and saved scraps for moments of collapse. The practical takeaway here is discipline under scarcity. Modern survivalists can, really learn from this by practicing ration planning and delayed consumption, training the mind not to panic when food is limited. Reality 2 is that disease killed more prisoners than guards ever did. Dysentery, malaria, beriberi, and tuberculosis thrived where, sanitation collapsed. POWs discovered early that hygiene was survival. Men traded favours for soap, boiled water obsessively, and enforced latrine rules among themselves when guards did not care. This, really mirrors a core survival principle even today. Disease control matters more than comfort. In any austere environment, water treatment and waste management must come before almost everything else. Reality 3 is that mental collapse came faster than physical collapse. Interrogation records show prisoners who gave up mentally often died within just a few weeks, even when food and labour demands stayed constant. Prisoners of war created routines to anchor time. They counted days, memorized books, taught classes, and reconstructed home recipes from memory. This wasn't nostalgia. It was, in fact, cognitive resistance. The modern application is clear, In isolation or crisis, it's vital to structure your day deliberately. Routine, in a way, preserves your identity when external control strips everything else away. Reality 4 is that compliance without submission was, a daily balancing act. Prisoners learned when to obey instantly and when, perhaps, to resist quietly. Open defiance often meant death, but total submission, it destroyed morale. Subtle resistance included slowing work, sabotaging tools invisibly, or preserving military bearing in posture and speech. This teaches a critical survival concept. Choose battles carefully. Survival is not about constant rebellion, but about preserving autonomy where it actually matters. Reality 5 is that social bonds determined who lived and who didn't. Survivor accounts from the Bataan Death March show that men who formed small mutual aid groups had dramatically higher survival rates. They shared food, carried the sick, and enforced discipline on one another. Lone survivors were rare. The lesson for modern preparedness is uncomfortable, but true. Lone wolf survival is mostly myth. Networks, even small ones, multiply endurance. Reality 6 is that information was more valuable than food. Knowing which guards were brutal when inspections happened or how rations were distributed allowed prisoners to plan survival strategies. POWs cultivated informants, learned languages, and listened more than they spoke. Today, this translates directly into situational awareness. In any crisis, information flow determines decision quality more than raw supplies. Reality 7 is that the rules of war often did not protect you. The Geneva Convention offered theoretical protections, but many camps ignored it entirely. POWs who believed paperwork would save them often paid the price. Survivors learned to rely on reality, not promises. The practical lesson is brutal but necessary. In collapse scenarios, do not assume systems will function as written. Plan for how people actually behave under stress. Reality 8 is that, survival carried a long psychological cost. Liberation did not end the war for many POWs. Nightmares, guilt, and chronic illness followed them home. This is not weakness, it is consequence. Understanding this reality forces serious historians and survivalists alike to, respect the true price of endurance. Training for survival must include recovery, reintegration, and mental health, not just physical escape. These 8 realities are not abstractions. They were paid for in bodies, diaries, and graves scattered across Europe and Asia. If you study them honestly, they sharpen your understanding of human limits and resilience in ways no textbook summary ever could. If this kind of grounded, evidence-driven history matters to you, subscribe to the Legacy of Survival channel, share this episode with someone who still thinks survival is about gear alone, and, stay here with us. This is where history stops being comfortable and starts being useful.